Welcome to Season 2 of Entrepreneurs IRL, a podcast showcasing real stories from people like you and me building businesses. I don't know about you, but I am so tired of hearing entrepreneurs gloss over stories of how they manage challenges while building their business. I wanted somebody to talk about the messy middle so my clients could understand they're not alone and that this is hard sometimes. So in true entrepreneurial spirit, since I couldn't find it, I built it. This is the real deal from your fellow entrepreneurs and what they have and are moving through while building their businesses today. My promise is that the guests on this podcast will be relatable and varied, spanning gender, religion, culture, locations. And my goal is to help you see how others have moved through their challenges and maybe even give you an idea on how you might address an issue you're working through. My name is Elizabeth Miner, and this is Entrepreneurs in Real Life. The beginning stages of entrepreneurship are so exciting, but they're also very complex. Today's guest, Franziska Spodek of Social Bookers, is just about ready to launch her product, and she shares what her journey has been like up to this point. And there's a lot in here. I hope you enjoy. My name is Elizabeth Miner, and this is Entrepreneurs IRL. So happy to have you here, Franzi. So happy that we could get some time together to talk about entrepreneurship and all the things that go about with the beginning portions of a business. So thank you so much for making time.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
That's awesome. So I really so wanted to have you be part of this because you're right now smack dab in the middle of the beginning stages. And the beginning is such a long process, but you're right in the thick of it. So I wanted to really start off our conversation today with the whole startup phase, that whole beginning of really, let's start at the very beginning of having a bunch of ideas. And how did you make your decision to go forward with the one decision you are moving forward with at this time, which is the socialbookers.co company?
Yeah, I think the reason why, so obviously, like most other entrepreneurs as well, there are many ideas floating through your head of what you could do, like you just said. And then at some point you make the decision and say, okay, this is it, this is where I'm going to progress with. And I think for me, it was really because of resonating so much with the product idea that I have. Because a friend of mine was once joking and was saying, okay, perfect, Franzi, you just put all your problems in one product and you're solving it. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Because so I've moved, within the last 7 years, I've moved 4 times all around the globe, from literally being in North America to having lived in Singapore. And every time I didn't know anyone at the new places. So I always needed to find a home, find a place to stay, find friends, get used to my surroundings. And there's a study that says that on average, it actually takes 4 months until you feel at home. If you think about, for example, international students, those semesters, they are 4 months, right? So basically you don't even feel home before you leave. And this is how the product all came together, because of the fact that I've lived through all those problems, and feeling home means that you feel comfortable. And comfort is such an important thing to have, because else you're always agitated. And I think just because of that vision that I am creating something where I help people feel home wherever they go, this was like a light bulb moment. This was like something where I was like, yes, I know I'm not the only person that feels that way, and therefore let's do this. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you just had such an understanding, such an intimate understanding of the problem, having lived through it. And then you knew what you wanted. And so if you can't find it in true entrepreneurial spirit, right, what do? You go out and you build it. So that's
Exactly.
great. So you just really, in all the things, because my understanding from our earlier discussions has been that you've kind of been playing around with different ideas for a little while, and then you were just like, maybe this is it.
Yeah, that's very true. I think the first time I wanted to, yeah, I still remember. So I was in second semester. So I studied international business management in Berlin,
Mm-hmm.
and I found out that there is this incubator at the university. And in second semester, I went there with an idea of mine. I don't even remember right now what it was. Something with travel, that's for certain.
Right.
But I went there and wanted to start this, and he was like, "Oh, you're very early. Like usually people come to us when they're like in their last year or their last semester, and you're only a first year." And I was like, "Yeah, no, but I don't
Yeah,
care."
but
It's like I don't care. I know I want to do this. I want to start something on my own, and so that's where it started off. Where for the first time took a step towards really creating something. Um, but now, I mean, I am a fourth year actually, or I just finished, and I think back then I haven't had the right mindset yet,
Mhm.
and also I didn't think ideas enough through to a
Mhm.
certain point where I could realize, is this something or is this not something? Because how I went about this time is that first I sat down, I did a lot of market research instead of just already drafting the idea. I did a market research on how are others feeling. I did a survey where surprisingly this first survey actually I had 250 responses sharing
Wow.
it on Facebook. Yeah, that was really I didn't realize back then how many people actually it was that replied there, and but that resignation actually just showed me that there is a need for it,
Mm.
and that was then kind of the proof to say, okay, I'm gonna go forward and I'm gonna look for a program that can help me launch this. So yeah, I think it's important to have the right mindset. There are definitely young entrepreneurs who start something when they're 18, 19. I think for me there was a bit more exploration phase needed before I could really take an idea to the next level. But yeah, it takes exploring, it takes definitely being open minded. But I think the other thing is, all the ideas I've always had were something that I've experienced in my own life.
Mm.
And I believe this is one very important factor because if you're creating something, if you really want to solve a problem, which you usually should, right, in order
Mhm.
to make it successful, you should know that this problem exists, and the best way to do this is to start with yourself. And I think this is how I always went about those ideas that were
That's
multiple.
Yeah, that's great. But the other thing is that I love about your story is you jumped in. You didn't wait until it was appropriate. You jumped in and you tried, and I think that this is the thing that people often forget is that you don't know until you start moving. And then you start
Yeah,
moving
for sure.
and then you go, "Oh, I need more market research," or, "Oh, maybe this really isn't as much of a great problem to solve as I thought it was," or whatever the information uncovers, but you can never uncover that information unless you start. And so I think that that's super important to really remember that, okay, maybe you don't have a lot of things figured out, but that's how you start. And then you decide, okay, I'm going to pivot, or no, I'm going to pitch this one. This one's not any good. I'm not going to bother going forward with this because I got to this point and I understand it's not a good value proposition for me to pursue. So I think that
Yeah,
that's super
yeah.
great that you jumped in and you didn't wait for permission or the standard time. That is the sign of a true entrepreneur if I've ever heard it.
Yeah, I guess. But I think this is also another thing about because if we want to talk about this whole how do you start and when to start and all these kinds of things, or is this the right fit for me to do something on my own, I think really it's also a lot about character. That in your mind, I am strong enough to put the amount of hours in to create something. Because, for example, my mentor that I disclosed my idea with, even right at the beginning of the market research. So he wasn't my mentor back then, a friend, but now he's my mentor. And he was saying then, like, I like the idea, and he's also an entrepreneur, and he was just saying, like, but you need to know that you will work a ton. Like, be aware that holidays and vacations are going to be work days. And like, he literally works 80 hours a week or something. So he's really up there. But this really, I think, is something that brought me back to earth, where it's like, okay, do I really like this idea that much that I am fine giving up on holidays, that I actually want to sit down on holidays and work instead of celebrating the holidays?
Right. And I have some mixed feelings about, that thought process. But the thing I think that is super important is, am I so in love with this idea that I have to pursue it, even when it's going to be difficult? And I think that that's definitely really great advice. So this kind of leads me into that next question that I have for you. And I know that so many people experience at this stage of entrepreneurship is you start asking for feedback. Right? And I know you and I have talked about this, and everybody's like, that's a great idea. And, did you think about going this direction, or did you think about going that direction? Tell me a little bit about, because I know you had an experience where you kind of got derailed a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that and what you've learned and where you're at with that at this point, because that's a really common thing.
I guess it's very important also to ask for feedback and to, with that, evaluate, am I on the right track, or is a pivot needed, or if you're right at the beginning, to evaluate, is this even the right idea? But yeah, once I was already a bit more progressed with things and I just wanted to talk to experts in the industry, there were many ideas flowing in what I could do with the product. That's where I realized then, hey, this, like, I need to stay clear with my vision. Because what happened is that there was this one person who was saying, yeah, okay, so he lives in the south of Germany. This is where, like, you have most of the industry, where, like, there's Daimler, Porsche, and all the car companies. And so with that, there are many engineers coming in, and often from Eastern Europe, because they're a bit cheaper, and also we are a bit in a deficit, a bit of the engineers. So he was saying, oh yeah, great thing with this co-living, like, I would pay you to start a co-living concept down here and connect the workers. And I was thinking, yeah, actually, this is true. There are a lot of people from Eastern Europe coming in, and it's a global thing that you have workers coming in from different countries to work somewhere because they're just a bit cheaper. This is then where I thought, okay, is this another sign to pivot or not? But
Right.
then I was realizing, no, actually, I want to focus on travelers. I want to focus on digital nomads, because this is where I know the personality. This is basically me. And with those immigrant workers, I don't know what it's like to be them. So even though it sounded like a nice idea and maybe there is an opportunity there, I realized, no, it doesn't fit together with the vision I have and with the expertise I have myself. I think this is always what it comes back to, is, does this fit with the vision that you have, and does this fit with what you actually know, with the expertise that you yourself bring to the table to create that business?
I think that's so important, and so many entrepreneurs get distracted by what I call SOS, shiny object syndrome, right? Because that's a real problem that he brought to you,
funny.
right? And you have the bones of a solution for that issue. However, like you said, you don't know the profile of the user the same way you know your profile of the user that you are working with in your product. And so it's an important distinction to really kind of dial back and go, yes, that's a good idea, and I'm not going to pursue it. Or
Yeah.
that is, level 2 of the product after I get this launched. There is room
Yes,
for
exactly.
continued growth in other areas, but let me get this baseline thing done. And that is so difficult to, especially when somebody comes up to you like that gentleman and says, "Hi, I'm willing to pay you." Because as an entrepreneur, you're like, "Oh man, I need money." So that would, well, maybe I'll build his thing
So true.
first, and then I'll have the funding to build my thing, right? So it's
Yeah.
it's really holding strong and firm to, no, this is the direction I need to go for me, for this product, for this time, in this moment. And that's really difficult. So congratulations for that. And I hope
Thank
that
you.
those people listening can kind of identify with that, and maybe this helps them, I don't know, kind of evaluate some of the opportunities that come to them. Because as entrepreneurs, I think we have this wonderful ability to see opportunities in so many things. And so
Yeah.
it's a good news, bad news thing. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
I
an
mean,
opportunity and I could do that.
yes, exactly. Because I think, also to start something, you need to be very open minded. And there are many pivots happening. So that's why I said, like, I've already reflected on, is this another pivot? Because this is something many, many people told me, your original ideal will not stay the same. And even now, people are saying what you're creating now will probably not be your end product. And so that's why I told myself right from the beginning, okay, I'm going to stay very open-minded and see what comes at me, see what I learn, and that I don't miss an opportunity or that I don't miss an important pivot. But putting that aside, I really have a vision here of what is necessary to happen. And there are probably many different ways of how to do this, but there's one way where I can, like I said, put my expertise in. And I think this should be never forgotten, that it's just important that your idea stays within you and is not, let's say, destroyed is maybe a very strong word, but that it's not kind of like taken away by others. And I don't know how to say it differently right now. I hope you know what
No,
you
I
mean.
think that makes complete sense, and I think that it's an interesting dance that many of us as entrepreneurs have to do that staying true to our original idea while being open to the information that's evolving around us that we're getting access to. So it is such a tough dance, but it is such an important dance, and that is where some of this mindset really is important, in my opinion. So I think that's a really clear challenge for entrepreneurs, for sure.
Agreed.
Let's talk about, going out and asking for help. You're in an early stage as an entrepreneur. You're a young woman, still, just finished college and university, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So your network is still developing. It is just beginning to bloom. And so, how difficult did you find it to ask for help outside of your network? Because there is so much available to you that you are just maybe 1 or 2 degrees away from.
So funny that you're mentioning this. I was excited to talk with you about this again. Yeah, so I definitely started off with not having a network. And I think this is also something very important for others to know, because this is also a reason why I think I started later than I did. Because I always thought in order to start a business, you need to be somehow connected. But it doesn't mean that this connection already needs to be there from the beginning, because you can create everything basically if you just put in the energy. So therefore what I've done is LinkedIn has basically become my everyday tool kind of thing, where I really spend a lot of time on and look for experts, for example, like I talked to with this guy, or just people that can help me in different areas of either the industry. So within the hospitality, I even talk to people within the real estate business. I talk to people who are obviously digital nomads, and how it's going from the user side, and then also very specifically about the business side of things. So talk to people who are in sales, who are in marketing, so things that I've been doing. But also I talk to people who, for example, are developers, because I wanted to understand better of what is possible, and get a bit of outside ideas instead of only talking to the developer that is in our team, because like I said, I value this open-mindedness and getting ideas in from different sides. And to all those people, though, in the beginning, I didn't have any connections. And so what I did is just that I looked for people that I found interesting. Like literally, I just went to their LinkedIn profile, looked through the companies either that they have been to, or that they have worked at, or what is like if they're really great experts in something. Or for example, I was in the US with Rotary when I was 16. So if I saw that someone might not be an expert in something but still has like experiences, because that's also something I obviously don't have yet since I just finished college. And then I saw, for example, oh, this person has been or is with Rotary, so I contacted them.
Right.
And I just reached out, like I reached out to you basically. And just wanted to chat and get to know their side of things, and understand the whole world that I'm moving in from a broader perspective, like look outside the box kind of thing. So the first contact, and often also the call, worked very well, and I always learned so much. Like I love these calls, really. They bring me so much further, and I appreciate anyone who just says, yeah, Franzi, let's hop on a 30-minute call and you ask your questions and I'll see how I can help you. There has not been one call that has disappointed me so far.
That's
even
just
though it's
awesome.
been a lot.
That is awesome. And that is, I mean, I hope people listening are really picking up on that, because that is exactly how we met. Because you're over in Germany and I am in the US, and you put out a request for help with information about nomads and what people are looking for. And I was like, oh, this is a young entrepreneur budding in an area that I am very passionate about. Yeah, I'll spend 30 minutes on a call with her. Great. And we had such a great conversation.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh, so good.
I had so much fun learning about what you were doing. I'm super excited about what you're doing. I cannot wait for it to go live so that I can benefit from it. I cannot wait to sign up and become a member. But the other thing is that because I've been a nomad for so many years, I was able to say, oh, hey, have you spoken to this person? This person might be a really great connection for you. Oh, I'd love to make an introduction to this person. So I think that it is so important to put yourself out there. I have a whole chapter in the book that I am writing right now for entrepreneurs about asking for help, because it's such a problem for us entrepreneurs. We don't reach out. And it's so funny.
That's true.
because the chapter opens up with a story from Steve Jobs of Apple, who said when he was 12 years old, he called up the CEO from Hewlett Packard and said he was wanting to build some sort of a frequency counter, which I don't even know what the heck that is, but he was trying to build this thing, and he wanted to know if the guy had any spare parts. And he said, I have never reached out to anybody that didn't help me. At 12 years old, the CEO of Hewlett Packard laughed at me and sent me some parts, and then got me an internship at the company the following summer.
That's exactly it. This is also something why I love reaching out to so many different people, because you never know what's awaiting. Like, for example, with us, it's the third time now that we're talking, and it's every single time it's just so nice, and I get to reflect on things, which I love reflecting. I think it's different.
Yeah, me too.
But I think still, and I know this is why you also brought this up, this whole of you ask to connect with someone, and then I'm already so grateful that this person is taking the 30 minutes of time, that I usually do not take this next step and am like, okay, who else in your network could be helpful for me to get in contact with? And
we talked about that.
Yeah, exactly. I know you've mentioned this to me before, that it's fine asking that. But I'm already just so grateful that they are taking the time for the call, that I don't want to ask for more. But then on the other hand, how much does one more question hurt? Like, if it's a no, then it's a no. And that's also obviously completely fine. And I've been practicing, actually.
I'm so glad to hear that.
So.
I'm so glad to hear that, because the thing is that here's my thought on that. If I've said, you know what, this is a worthwhile use of a half hour of time, and time is very precious. So I get, and I'm so grateful that you recognize that what you're asking is an ask, right? So that's great. Yeah. But if I already have said, this is a valuable use of my time, and this is something I want to give back on, then I'm likely, especially after I've had the phone call with you, I'm likely to say, yes, there are people that I could introduce you to. Now, at the end of the phone call, I could also say, okay, I don't have the feeling that I feel comfortable giving out names or making introductions. Yeah. So I could say no at that point, and you would be grateful for my half hour and be happy about that. But if there's that additional thing, so as far as I'm concerned, just that extra push to remind you to keep doing this, because you're doing great, is they're welcome to say no at any time, and they can do that analysis after they've spent their half hour. Do I think that this is somebody that would be useful to share with somebody else? And let us make that call. But then, and let's talk about this, the follow-up, right? Let's talk about follow-up. Because
do we need to?
Right, yes, we need to. You need, because I'm a coach at heart, so that's the whole thing is and I'm victim to this as well. I get it, because I will reach out to somebody and I think, oh well, they didn't respond, oh they're busy, they've decided not to do this, or what have you, and I have actually gone back and I've said, all right, let me do one more email and, say, I don't know if this slipped down out of your email feed, and I'd like to just bring it back to the top. And if you're interested, I'd love to set this up. And if you're not, I will not be emailing you anymore. So it gives me the opportunity to say, don't worry, I'm not going to nag you. You don't have to, block me on your email. But it is that reminder. And I can tell you that there's been a number of times that I've gotten really great feedback, and I've been thanked for being proactive in re-pinging these people. So if I can encourage you, what kind of thoughts do you have about that?
Actually, and this is the first thing that came to mind just now. Just today, I took the step and I was like, okay, I wrote this person once, introduction. I had a connection on LinkedIn, okay? We already connected. So then the person didn't answer. So I wrote them about a bit more background about why I messaged them and asked them if we could have a call. No answer. So I was like, okay, this isn't looking good. Should I write again or not? Like the third time. Because usually it's twice, or like often you get said, okay, do a follow-up after a week and then it's kind of okay. And I was thinking, okay, no, I'm just gonna make it 3 times. And you know what? 5 minutes after, she answered and we have a call scheduled.
Ah, perfect.
So yeah, I guess sometimes it's even okay to write a third message. The thing is that I really have to learn, and this, or also that I'm realizing about myself right now, is if you're working and you have so many things on your to-do list, and then you're like, okay, I'll do this tonight when I'm gonna go through all my messages. Sometimes a message just slips through, and it's not even that you're not interested or so, but it slips through and then you forget about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's why like the follow-up is definitely like a reminder kind of thing. And that's why I like it, and I always do a second one for sure. The third, I always am a bit hesitant because I don't want to annoy people or bother them.
Yeah.
But what you were just saying, I was literally just looking for a pen if I could write down what you were just saying, of what you would write in the message, because it's so true. Like just saying, hey, I'm really interested in talking with you. Would you mind if we hop on a call? This is maybe even write more specifically about what the questions are, and else this has been my last attempt. Thank you for your time, or thank you for reading this, whatever.
Right.
And I think it's such a nice, you phrased it a lot better, but it's such a nice way of doing this last step again, and then saying, okay, I'm trying this one more time. If you're really not interested, just leave it. And if there's a slight hint that you might want to be interested in talking with me, then please go for it.
Right.
So I think it's something that takes practice.
Absolutely.
So that you feel more comfortable in nagging and asking for so much. But it's important, very, very important for sure, because there won't always be an answer on your first message. So
yeah, and we make up stories about why they're not answering. We just don't know, and you are in your beginning stages of entrepreneurship, and you have so many messages that some slip through. So somebody who is very accomplished and very well into their stage, they've got a ton of messages, and maybe they just let it slip through, and they don't have as good of a system as you do to scroll through and go, oh, this is somebody I missed today. I better, or I want to do something about that. So it's really important not to make up the story about why somebody is not responding to your message. So
yeah, for sure. And I think what also is important, maybe this is a bit of a jump back, but like in this first reach out, I always try to really look into how can specifically this person help me, because I feel like the more specific you make it, the more people are inclined to actually accept and reach out. Because if you just have like a copy and paste kind of thing, I think it's recognizable.
Yes.
And also I hear from many people, specifically like journalists who get these messages all the time, that it really needs to show, is this person interested in me, or is this person just interested in what I offer, basically. So this is one other thing I think is super important to really see, how can specifically this person help me, and make it very clear that you really want to talk to them and not just get something out of them.
Absolutely. It's a common thing that I am seeing right now on LinkedIn, which I'm very sad about, of these people saying, oh, I want to connect with like-minded people. Let's connect. I'm like, what the heck is that? And what does that mean to me? And what benefit is it to me? And what benefit is it to you? And if you're just trying to bulk up your LinkedIn profile, find somebody else. If there's something really that we should have a conversation about, let me know what that is. Let me know why I should be interested in you.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
there are, I don't know, 15 million people on LinkedIn that I am like-minded with. And, I don't need them all in my network. So, I think you're absolutely correct in the point of, why is it me that you're reaching out to? Why is it this person? What is it that you want to learn from them that they could share? Or what specific questions do you have? And it doesn't have to be entirely specific, but it needs to be, because of your connection with this industry, I would love to discuss a few of these elements of my upcoming business plan. Right?
Yeah.
That gives somebody an idea of,
Exactly.
oh, yeah, I want to do that, or, nah, I really don't. And they can respond accordingly. So it helps everybody maximize their time, I think.
For sure. Completely agreed.
So as we're wrapping this up, I want to really, talk about what's next for you. You are coming to the end of the beginning. If that makes any sense. It does to me, but you are coming to the end of the beginning stages of your entrepreneurial journey. This is you are getting ready to launch, correct?
Yes.
Tell us
That's
all
very
about
true.
it. Tell us all about it. Tell us the name, exactly what this is that you are building, and really how people can find out more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we are called Social Bookers. We are a social directory for co-living spaces. And this means that we do not only list the co-living spaces, but we first of all are doing a personification of the spaces so that people can really imagine what their life might be like living at those community places. And then on the second hand, the social part is a community that we're creating for the users so that they can connect with each other, that they can give tips to each other, that they can even hang out if they're at the same location, and also that they can explore the surroundings together, where we are partnering up with different organizations ranging from gyms to restaurants to car rental companies, so that you can even do a weekend trip if you want. Basically everything that goes into feeling comfortable at a location. And this is where I come back to this vision of what I said before, of feeling at home, because you should not only have a place to sleep, but this place should feel like your home. So this is the co-living spaces. This is what I love about this whole fact of allowing people to have a community, to know people already right when you're getting there, to have a beautiful place to sleep, and also to be able to work, since it's focused on digital nomads or remote workers. But then on the other hand, not only to let people then outside of that house wall of the house to fall into the cold water and just let them try to swim. No, also there to make them feel secure and comfortable, to really bring down this 4-month average of feeling at home, and just making all the things that go about settling somewhere for a few months as easy as it gets. And this is what we're building. Definitely not a simple product with just a few pages.
True.
So this is what we're putting together. It's super much fun because, like my friend said, it's really all the things that I have encountered that I'm putting in there, and once the product is at a level that really allows all of these things to happen, then it can be just like, I'm looking forward to using it myself, really.
That's awesome.
Being a nomad, going to those places and really just getting there and knowing what it's about. And so that's where what we're putting together. This is what we hopefully will launch at the end of the month. And I was luckily allowed to start this whole project through the Berlin Startup Scholarship, which is ending though at the end of May. And through the scholarship, I had like a bit of funding with the team that I'm working with so that we could work on this, but it was more like the life expenses kind of thing. So that's why for me also the next stage, besides getting the product on a nice level and then creating that user base that is important, because I think I forgot to mention this, we're doing a subscription model. That obviously we need to be able to continue this project, and this is where like my next focus will be on, to look for funding.
Excellent. That is, and I am so excited because I am a digital nomad and I can't wait to use this product. Now, the one question I have is it, you're currently based in Europe. Is it Europe focused? Is it Europe centric? Is it international?
So we are gonna do a bit of a pilot with Europe, but it's going to be global for sure. And also we already have a few partners in the US and also on Bali.
Ah, of course.
Where else?
Yes, where else?
So yeah, and also actually in South America as well. So we're focusing on Europe, but really anyone is welcome who wants to be on the platform, because it's not only that the users can find the right spaces, it's also that the spaces can attract the right members through this personification. I just had a call now with a space in Barcelona, and they're, for example, doing a bit of a social focus kind of thing where they help refugees and stuff. So this is a very specific approach towards co-living, of saying, hey, if you're there, you have the opportunity to get in contact with these people, to help them make life easier. But this also with that attracts a very specific type of people.
Yeah.
And this is what we're portraying as well. So it's a vice versa kind of thing, of helping the users find the right spaces, but in return also help the spaces find the right members. And I guess anyone who's interested in having a exclusive community, or has a very clear idea of what the community should be like, is welcome on our platform for sure.
That is fantastic. I am so excited. And of course, all the links will be on the show notes, and all the opportunities. And Franzi, you said you had a discount code to a membership potentially.
Yes,
that we'll include on the show notes. So getting in early and getting into this place. And actually, as we were talking, I've got 2 more people I need to introduce you to. So we'll talk about that when we get off this recording.
Thank you.
But I am so excited. I'm so excited for all that you're working on. Thank you so much for sharing this part of the journey, because this is where so many people are right now, especially coming out of COVID. So I think it's super important to show this part of the journey, and thank you so much for being willing to be open to sharing that.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we'll have you back later on, either this season or next, so that we can talk about where you are in the next stage of this, because this is an exciting growth time for you. So thank you again.
Lots of learnings. Thank you.
All right. Ciao. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Entrepreneurs IRL. All links and show notes are available at entrepreneursirl.com. And if entrepreneurship is in your blood, I encourage you to check out my upcoming book, The Entrepreneur Advantage: Emotional Intelligence for Building and Growing Your Business. A sneak preview of this upcoming release is available on my website at elizabethminer.net. And remember, a new episode of Entrepreneurs IRL releases each week on Thursdays. Well, until then, ciao.